Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sanderlanche podcast. Today, we read the short story Centrifugal, one of the earliest pieces of writing that Brandon did, and definitely the earliest thing available on his website. So it's an odd story about the far future and some sort of, huge maniacal project to get energy for free or something. I don't even know how to describe it, and the way that it all goes wrong, basically. I'm Data, and with me today is
Jack
and Jamie.
So hang on to something, everybody. The Sanderlanche is about to begin.
Under the shimmer of a blue moonbeam, pick up the pieces of a brittle dream, 'cause I lost myself somewhere along the line. But I push it through the pain and I feel fine. I'm on my way, I'm back to the start. I've been waiting so long. I'm on my way, I opened my heart and it made me so strong. I'm on my way now, I'm on my way.
So yeah, we had a very short story this time. I doubt this will be a very long episode for everybody. Next week, we should be back into Mistborn. I almost said The Lost Metal. That's the next one that's coming out. The Bands of Mourning. Sorry, everybody, that we missed last week. I had some stuff going on and just could not get it recorded. So we had to skip one. But, this is our baby break. So we took an actual break during baby break for this time. And honestly, I suspect, and I'll talk to you guys about that later, that we'll have to skip a couple more upcoming because I'm going to be at Disney World for a week. And I don't know that I'll be able to record while I'm there. So
That's fair.
fun. But yes, Joe should probably be back next week. I was just telling Jamie and Tag I haven't actually talked to him about it, if he's going to be back for that one or if we'll have to do an episode or so without him. But definitely hope to have him back before the end of the Bands of Mourning, because that'll be a big one for us to cover, the end of the existing Mistborn books right up until next month when the new Mistborn book comes out.
Is it next month? I thought it was this month.
No, it is November. It is, I think it's the 15th, because it is the book release party is at the con that me and Joe are going to.
Oh, sick.
So yeah, it'll be like the convention is Monday and Tuesday night is the book release party, where Brandon will give a talk, or maybe do a reading, do some signing and stuff like that. So should be fun.
Wow.
Yep, they're gonna have a drawing of everybody who's attending, because your badge to go to the convention includes being able to go to the release party. It's part of it. So, but they're gonna have a drawing because there's thousands of people at the convention, and Brandon can only do personalized signing of so many books. So it'll be like a random drawing from all of the attendants who will be invited to go and get a personalized signing done with Brandon at that party. So
I'm just imagining Joe getting his name drawn out for that, and you don't.
yeah, it's fine.
it's like, oh, Joe heard the reading excerpt or whatever, and he's actually more up to date on that than you are.
No, I think everybody will hear the reading excerpt, I assume.
Okay.
But because everybody, like I said, everybody's invited to the release party. It's just getting your book signed and stuff, which I don't mind that much, because Brandon is one person that I hadn't started buying all of his books when the Elantris Leatherbound came out, and my wife got me that for Christmas, although we were just dating at the time. But so since then, I've been getting all the Leatherbounds. I'm like, well, then I'll just collect his books in these Leatherbounds. I don't need to get a bunch of other copies of the same books. So I think I have one copy that I got before that of The Final Empire, since that was my favorite book. I have a signed copy of The Final Empire, but it's the 15th printing or something ridiculous because it had been out for so long. So it's not as valuable as a lot of I have signed first edition, first printings of a lot of my favorite fantasy books. So it was I can pursue spending a bunch of money on those for Brandon's books, or I can get the Leatherbounds, which are really pretty, and they come signed if you order them in the first place. So I'm like, well, I'll do that.
Fair enough.
Yeah, makes for a nice shelf. So
yeah.
But today we are talking about Centrifugal, a very, very old story we learned. So what did you guys think of this quite short story?
This story was a very fun concept. I liked all the ideas put through them. You can definitely tell this is an early story. I think the intro up here says he's not exactly. Oh yeah, warning! You are about to read a very bad story.
Yeah.
It's like I don't think the story was bad. I just think that it's very early days when it comes to writing dialogue and how exposition is delivered, because it's definitely not up to par with his later stuff. But that's what you expect when it's like, you know, your first story or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I quite like the concept of like, oh yeah, like we had a long-term investment of this star, and it's actually, and after thousands of years, it's actually finally able to pay off. I'm like, that's actually kind of cool. I can get behind that. But it's, you know, a lot of the story is like him just sitting there talking to his mate, and it's like, I know you never approved of this, but it is finally going to be free, and we are going to win, and blah blah. And the other guy's like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it's a weird combination in my brain, because on the one hand, like you say, there's like half of it that's just these two guys sitting and talking, so it's a lot of like telling instead of showing, and then the other half is a lot of showing. Like you see what's happening, but you have no idea what's actually going on. So
yeah, it's like who's running away? Why do we not know? Why does it keep jumping away before we actually find anything out like 4 or 5 times?
Yeah,
I mean, it definitely keeps the pace up at least. You know, like the story's constantly moving. I will say that like I was never bored when reading this. But yeah, it's just kind of like what the fuck is happening?
and I feel like even when you get to the end and you get sort of an idea of what's happening, there's still like I'm not sure I know 100% what just happened.
Yeah, but I guess like I like Brandon's books, but I think we've talked about this before. Like the ending can come on very suddenly and abruptly, and sort of and on a couple occasions at least, we've sort of been left like, really, that's it? That's the end? I definitely got that here, so.
Yep.
But like, you know, that's something of his writing that he has embraced. So whatever, you do you, man.
Yeah, it works for him apparently.
So I liked the story. I thought it was a little clunky to get into. I sort of found myself having to read the first couple of sections a few times because I couldn't work out what was going on. I almost feel like having that preface there that you're about to read a bad story was probably it was shaping my opinions before I actually read it, and I was like nitpicking and sort of critiquing as I went rather than just reading the story and kind of making up my own mind. When I made the decision to kind of go, no, just read it, just forget it, just read it like you would normally read a book, just read it. It flowed a little better. But yeah, I agree. You sort of have parts of it that were very much being explained what was going on. And then you're like, who's this guy going at like lightning speed? I'm like, is he time traveling? Like, I don't know what's going on here. I really want to know. So, but once you sort of got all the pieces together, I thought it was a fun little story. I like the idea. I like that you don't kind of get these stories where it's like, oh, it all didn't work out. You know, boom, they're all dead. So I kind of liked that. There wasn't really anywhere for it to go in the end. But I have questions about, I want to hear more about this backstory. I want to know about this Shorten family, and then the other guy, Ronald. How did his blood show up as a Shorten? I'm so confused. I don't know what's going on. But it was good. It was fun. Yeah, I liked it.
I like your note about the like how it starts out with like you're about to read a bad story, which I've heard many times. It's like you don't start out something like that by like apologizing and doing all this stuff up front about how, I'm sorry, it's going to be bad, because that colors people's opinions before they get into it. Let them decide it's bad for themselves. But then again, he's not trying to sell this one to anybody. It's just like, I'm a successful writer here. You know, here's a piece of something from a long time ago.
Yeah, exactly. I get the point. I personally probably would have just put it at the end, but You're right. You know, we're looking at all these. A lot of people probably would never look at these. You read the novels and you move on. Obviously, with Brandon's work a little bit closer, but yeah, personally, I'd put it at the end because I think you might find that people just like the story. And yeah, it's an early work, and yeah, you can tell it's not as polished as some of the other things. But you know, I agree with Dak as well that yes, the ending comes on very abrupt. It's a short story. It's going to come on very abrupt. You can't have a long drawn out story here. But
I guess.
Sort of. Yeah, but it is just sort of like, boom, they're gone. Oh, I've got questions. There's no extra. Oh, yep, the Sanderlanche is coming. I feel like the Sanderlanche is not a thing yet. I love the bit, and I'm not sure that we've spoken about it because I was dealing with a child. that when he originally submitted the story, the pages were out of order.
Yeah.
I want to go back and read the order that it was actually given in, because I wonder if it would have made any difference.
That's an interesting question. Now I want to do this. I want to see this too. Although apparently at some point they figured it out. So maybe at some point you're just like, okay, now it makes no sense. I don't understand. But
reading it backwards would have made sense. This edgy, futuristic vibe, especially because my friend went straight to time traveling. So I was like, yeah, cool. But also, I've got so many questions. How did he cut off his nerve endings and get the adrenaline? I want to know more about this.
Right. I also do like your thought about, you don't often see a story that ends like that, with just everybody explodes and dies and that's the end.
And they're all in debt.
I don't think they do. You sort of want to root for people and go, yeah, there's a future and this story could go somewhere else. Obviously, this one is never going to. But I feel like it's definitely a concept he could expand upon. And maybe he already has. I don't know whether this sort of, not this story specifically, but if this kind of thing shows up somewhere else in the Cosmere or other works. But you definitely could make a bigger story out of it. But it's pretty bold to just go, yep, and everyone's dead now.
I mean, sometimes you can make it work. Like, spoilers for a Star Wars movie, but that's how Rogue One ended, and it was fantastic.
That's true.
It did, but also we knew what was happening next. Like, we knew there was more to the story already. But
okay, yeah, that's fair.
And when you saw everything come, I was like, oh, yep, if visually I was looking at this story, that's exactly what I would see.
I didn't even think about it. For some reason in my brain, it's always the classic, like, Butch and Sundance ending where they die. That's like the one that my brain goes to. I'd kind of forgotten that Rogue One it also does that same thing.
I guess Butch and Sundance, though, it doesn't show them dying. It shows them popping out of the barn and then, like, they're surrounded, but you don't actually see them.
That's true, yeah.
What's the other one I go to? Oh, Doctor Strangelove.
Ah, yeah.
Yep.
Definitely a lot of people dying.
I was like, do I do spoiler alert for that? But that movie's, 40, 50 years old by now?
Yep. Hold on. Oh, now I'm looking for this. Movies where everyone dies. Lots of spoilers. Okay. 300? Yeah, I guess that's true.
Oh, David Wenham made it out.
Cabin in the Woods? I think somebody makes it out of Cabin in the Woods, don't they?
Oh, yeah. No, Cabin in the Woods, ends with...
yeah, because... Yeah.
Big hand.
Right. Like, somebody does make it out of the whole plan, but because of that, everything gets destroyed. Yeah, okay.
Yep.
The Departed? Yeah, a lot of people did at the end of Departed. Reservoir Dogs.
Well, they both those two had one person make it out, and usually it's like weirdly enough, both times it was the most smart-ass character.
Good point.
There you go. That's how you survive movies where everyone dies. You're the sassy one.
The robot was the sassy one in Rogue One.
I knew that my sassiness would come back to help me one day.
Jamie's like, yep, I'm going to be the one to make it out of this.
Nailed it.
Okay. Fun distraction. Yeah, I can see what Jamie's saying, that it feels like there's a sci-fi concept here that you could use elsewhere. Like the whole mining of this star for energy, or the guy it's like there's generations spent waiting to get revenge or whatever. There's some interesting, like, little bits in here that I could definitely see popping up somewhere else and being cool.
Yeah.
I'm a big space nerd. Like, I love space. But the whole idea, you're about to come to the point where effectively it's the death of the star. We just don't know about it. And then to have something that's obviously close enough to Earth that we could get to, that's really interesting as well. It's like, well, how did it, it didn't it's close enough, but it didn't wipe out Earth. I think that's really interesting.
I think it's interesting to me how even in these futuristic sci-fi things, like, energy is still this commodity that everyone is after here. Like, this story's about this investment in what is essentially an energy gamble. So we're never going to get away from that. We were just doing an episode of Deep Space Nine for the show that I'm doing with my friend about where they're going to, tap the molten core of one of Bajor's moons for energy. And I was like, really? Like, we're still doing this? You're still that desperate for energy that you're going to make this moon uninhabitable so you can drain the power? This is sad, actually.
I guess as long as we've got an energy crisis in our own world, it's going to remain topical.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, I guess let's get into this story. So it really cuts back and forth kind of rapidly, which is going to make going through it a little tough. But we start with one paragraph, basically, of a guy running. And it's like, he's sweating, everything, it's really tough. He has an objective. And then we cut directly to Emil Shorten. He's like, man, look how beautiful this is. And it's all mine. And the guy's like, well, I don't know that you can call it yours exactly. I mean, it belongs more to nature than any human being, which is a little bit philosophical, but...
Well, it's like, before we even got into the whole energy stuff like this, the thing that immediately my knee-jerk reaction went to was those websites where you can buy a constellation or buy a star or a comet or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, how the hell do you claim that?
Could you imagine someone's gifted you in the year 2022, someone gifted you a star and you took them literally. You're like, it's all mine.
It's like you just commandeer a spaceship, you fly over to it. It's like, this is my star, no one's allowed near here. It's like, what are you gonna do? You gonna plant a garden on it?
I paid $50 for this on the internet. Everybody back off. I don't know how much they cost. So.
Not the intention of the gift.
I'm sure there's some fine print in there that's like, you don't actually own this thing, but
maybe that's why Mront is so pissed. He's just like, oh, I got you that for a drunken birthday gift. I didn't mean it.
Also, at this point, you own it with 500,000 of your closest friends.
Yep.
Not only yours.
You can buy some weird stuff to gift people. They got like, you can get you can rent or lease or whatever the square foot of land in Scotland, so you can be a lord, or I forget how that worked exactly.
Oh yeah.
And one year for Christmas, I got my wife, among other things, a certificate of nobility. So she was a baroness of Sealand.
What?
Have you heard of Sealand?
No.
It is.
Do I need to quickly Google this? It
is a quote unquote country that declared like sovereignty in 1967, and basically it's an old like it's an old like sea fort thing that's built on it's like an offshore platform.
Oh, it's that abandoned military thing.
Yeah, and so this family lived there and declares themselves an independent country, and they have their currency that they make, and they have all this stuff, and they sell titles of nobility. Even though, I think you can even get a passport, although I don't believe that the country is recognized by any other country in the world. So
yeah, can you actually do that? I declare we are our own country.
I claim this oil rig for the sovereign nation of me.
You can apparently get away with it if nobody else cares. And that is the situation.
I think there is actually a guy in the Australian outback who did something similar. He just found this spit of land that's so far away from any towns or cities, and he just sort of establishes like, yeah, this is my own country. I have my own currency. You're not allowed in, and something like that. And the government just like couldn't be bothered dealing with him. It's like, fucking whatever, dude.
Nobody else is interested in going out there, so you do you.
Yeah, basically.
But yeah, they've apparently fought off pirates or something at one point. I guess the pirates are the only ones who care enough.
They're trying to take the country from him.
Oh, but yeah, so she is
That's some
a
Waterworld shit.
It is, right?
Dennis Hopper's gonna rock up on a Sea-Doo. Oh
man. Okay, sorry. We're gonna do some distractions this time since the story's so short. We just need some side. It's funny because like I said, on the Deep Space Nine rewatch show that I'm doing, if we get to the end of the show and we haven't had some weird big long tangent, the guy that I'm doing with is like, wait, we haven't had a tangent this episode. We need to do something.
Spin the wheel.
That's what we need, a wheel of tangents. Yep.
You got to it's got to be fresh tangents every time.
So yes, they are talking about a red supergiant star known as Seppuku, which in and of itself, that's a bad name. It's like ill luck there.
Well, I'm sure it's meant to be thematic given what happens at the end, but it's very on the nose.
Yeah. Like, I would have bought a different star, dude. Like, you don't want to go near that one.
Yeah, why couldn't we buy the one called Prosperity or something?
Yeah, exactly. Or just if you bought it, change the name. Like, did you guys pick that name? Because, geez.
He was going through his teenage rebellious phase when he got it.
Yes,
yeah, super edgy, man.
He's so emo. Yes, Emil is talking about the culmination of his ancestors' work. And Morant's like, dude, I don't like your ancestors. They're all stupid. And I'm just like, why'd you invite this guy here again?
Yeah, he doesn't seem to be on board.
Do you just not have any other friends?
Actually, now that I think about it, it does seem like this is a Zap and Kif relationship.
Yeah. But he's finally just like, okay, yeah, well, I'm not gonna argue with you. This is a party. Let's have fun.
Be joyous, my comrade. Today we celebrate.
That's very Zap.
You know what I think of your illustrious ancestors, sir.
Tell the men that I have mated with a woman.
There's some bonus content for the Patreon.
Oh my gosh, that would be great. Just a whole Zap and Kif. That's stepping on somebody's intellectual property.
Yeah.
So we cut back and somebody is yelling, "Stop!" And the thing is, we've only had the first and the second at this point, so you don't know that we're going back to that first one again. At this point, it's just somebody's yelling "Stop" at somebody else.
Today we celebrate. Stop!
Yeah, exactly.
Well, because when I first read it, I was like, is he just ignoring? Like someone's running through the party or something, and this guy's like, it's happening from behind me, but I'm going to ignore it.
Sir, we have a streaker.
Like, whatever. Let them enjoy themselves, too. Today we celebrate. So yeah, there's the dude still running, and he's ignoring the voice and the blue lightning from the electrical stunners that are also coming. And here comes a half a dozen more showing up. But his chance comes with the trench. Bones cracked and tendons tore as he leaps across this 20-meter wide gap. And apparently just, gets away from these guys who are chasing him. Which I love when we come back to it in a minute. And he's like, how did none of you have a hover platform? Like, these cops suck.
They're basically Zap's troops in Dupe.
Exactly. And then we cut back to the celebration, and I feel like it's intentionally misleading at the beginning of these sections. It's like years of accumulated pressure exploded, and there's like, oh, it's a champagne bottle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's deliberate, which is clever.
Yeah. My ancestor put this bottle away 3,000 years ago in anticipation of this moment, which I feel like that wine would not be good anymore.
Like, we almost lost it when we moved house, but thankfully we found the box in storage.
The AC went out that one time, and it got like 100 degrees in the house, but it's probably fine.
It smells like expired oatmeal.
And here's where I want to hear some of the backstory, because Morant, which is, geez, that's a tough name actually, is like, you stagnated. You used to have such imagination. What happened to your dreams? I'm like, yeah, what was this guy's dreams? I'm curious now. We don't know. And apparently Emil invited Morant to participate in this many years ago, but if you choose to work on the project, then you have to sign a waiver saying that you will never leave, which, geez, all right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind. I wouldn't mind abandoning that dream.
No.
Yeah, I'm good.
Like, why? Like, what about it needs everyone to stay? Like, even these cops, like, if you want to be a cop on this base, you have to never leave? Who's going to take that job?
Yeah, that's like, these guys are in real need of a union.
Yeah. And here's the Sergeant Forek of the Seppuku Primary Base Police. It's like, what do you mean none of you brought a hover platform? They're standard equipment. Go back to your hover and get one. Well, apparently they have hover, I guess cars is what when he says go back to your hover. Why don't you just use that to fly after the guy?
Well, so if they're the cars, why couldn't they just bring the cars?
Yeah, exactly.
So, the cars aren't working. Eject the platforms. It's like, oh god, we don't have rails on these things. Oh, I fell off. Actually, no, it's like they're chasing him on like the Back to the Future style hoverboards.
Oh.
You got all these skateboarding cops coming after him.
It's like, oh no, he's over water. So they have a bioscan somewhere that sensed this guy and can tell that he is hopped up on adrenaline, like 4 times the normal person's maximum tolerance of adrenaline, which allows him to do this stuff. Which that doesn't sound good, but
I think this was the clunkiest bit of dialogue in this bit, and it's like, oh, it says he's saturated with an amphetamine, but a naturally induced one. You mean adrenaline? Yes.
Yeah.
Like, the first guy couldn't have said just adrenaline.
Well, the whole scene feels very clunky to me because it's just like, this is one of those telling and not showing things where it's just like, we have the excuse that we have a bioscanner that can tell not only that he's full of adrenaline, but that his pain receptors have been disengaged. The nerve endings have been literally fused into unreceptiveness. I'm like, really? You can tell all that from, all right. And you can't stop him remotely? Okay, well, whatever.
So I can buy all that. It's just the way they explained it to people. Just like, oh, that was a bit, eh.
And then it's like, he's heading for the northeastern section, which, interesting that you still have north, south, east, and west that you're using out here in space, but whatever.
They just stood on their base and went, you know what? This is north now.
Yep. And he's like, oh, we got him then. That entrance requires a DNA scan. There's no way he can get by that. And the tech basically says this guy has 15 minutes until... He describes it as the same as being a balloon that's been filled too much, and so he's gonna pop. I don't know if he means that literally, like he's going to explode, or he's just gonna die, but...
Like a balloon and something bad happens.
Exactly. Oh gosh, I hadn't thought of that. That's great. I want to go back and just put that in. It's like a balloon and something bad happens.
Just submit the sound effect.
So yes, we come back to Morant and Emil. It's like, on 15 minutes. Oh my gosh, also 15 minutes. The work will be done. And so it says that this star was discovered within trans light speed range. And it was projected to go supernova sometime within the next 5,000 years. And so Emil's ancestor, Joshua Shorten, had decided he was going to buy it. And the government's like, all right, we'll take your money to say it's yours, whatever. And what he has is this prediction, a mathematical prediction that's like, by the time the supernova happens, we will have technology sufficient to harness its power. So he spends all his family's fortune on this, preparing for the supernova.
And that is a long ass time for one family to actually stick to the original plan.
Agreed. I feel like within a couple generations, somebody's gonna be like, nah, this is boring. I want to do something else.
Yeah. It's like, really, we're sinking our money into this? But it's like, you think of that time gap. That's like from now to like ancient times. Like, you're talking ancient, like Rome and Gaul and stuff. And like, that's like the technology jump alone is just astronomical.
It's true. So yeah, I mean, I believe that in 3,000 years we could have some crazy technology that I'd never even imagined. So
yeah,
I believe in 100 years we could probably have that.
But it's like, yeah, even it's like the family line to remain dedicated for that long. Like, that's man, he must have had like something huge written in his will. It was ironclad.
Well, at the end, it says that the members of the family enter a 3,000-year work bond to pay the debts incurred by the project. So maybe he like just passes down these debts, and it's like, well, if you don't keep working towards it, then you're gonna have to be the buck stops with you.
Then 100% they're faking their death and running away.
Yeah, probably. That's what I'd do. Good point. So we cut back to the guy who's been running. He reaches the DNA scanner and bites his thumb until it bleeds, and then puts that into the scan thing. And then we get another cut to not anybody's perspective. It's just funny things about the human body. This is the part where I'm like, I don't know if I understand exactly what's happening here. So the DNA scan consists of 3 scans. First scan triggers a sequence which caused foreign bodies like viruses to detach themselves from the bottom of the strand. The second pulse makes them reform, being imprinted with that pulse's data. So the little thingies are like tracking what the pulse is looking for and then turning into that, I guess. And then the third pulse, they attach to the actual DNA strand so that the probe finds what it's looking for. Is how I'm interpreting this.
So the pulses weren't part of the machine?
No, yeah, the pulses are part of the machine, but whatever is in his DNA is like working off of those pulses. It's like using them as a signal and using them to get information, which we find out that like somebody from like 3,000 years ago basically came up with this plan, it sounds like. So you would have had to know that in 3,000 years the DNA scanner is going to use these 3 pulses or something, it seems like. So I don't know.
Yeah.
This is where it's kind of falls a little bit apart for me. But I'm, if you all you had to say is like, don't explain it. Be like, he'd come up with a way to fake out the DNA scanner. Okay.
Yeah, so that's what he did in the end. He faked the DNA. He wasn't some long-lost relative that was also part of the family. He was, I think we find it was someone else's family that was also the project.
And the thing's like, welcome, Mr. Shorten, so it lets him in. And we cut back to Emil and Morant, and he's like, why don't you like this project, Morant? And he's like, look, it's the way that you guys have handled it. It's all built off greed and the seclusion of ideas, which is clearly pretty true. And Emil is thinking that it's more true than this guy even knows, because a long time ago, back when this first started 3,000 years ago, there was this guy, Laros Mezpreek, which once again, can we not, like, we're going a little overboard with the sci-fi names on some of this.
That one, like, I like sort of flows a bit better than Morant.
Yes, I agree. It's better than Morant. And so this is the guy who came up with the plan that I guess Shorten just kind of stole. And so he steals his ideas and then kind of kicks him to the curb. And LaRose is so upset by this that he becomes an expert in a new field, the field of genetics, and spends the whole rest of his life working on something. And on his deathbed, he says, finally, we're even. And no one knows what any of that was about. And the only clue lies in the mind of a man called to the office several times, one Jammer Alistes. Which, once again, that's kind of a sci-fi sounding name, but I like it, Jammer.
Yeah.
Again, we've got another family who's going to uphold this thing for 3,000 years. Did no one ever change what they were going to do?
In this case, it sounds like he doesn't have a choice.
Yeah, this seems like it was like he embedded something in the DNA that compelled.
Yeah, because that's the next paragraph is like he finally had come to fill a 3,000-year compulsion, which that's even worse than a guy stealing your idea and using it to make a lot of money, is like co-opting an entire line to force them to get revenge for you. That's messed up.
I'm just picturing poor Ronnie's dad sitting somewhere just watching this all go and just going, whew, fucking dodged a bullet on that one.
Or Ronald's kid.
Yeah. It's like, whoa, one generation off. Yes.
So, yeah, Ronald Alistes, clearly a descendant of the original Jammer, hurls himself into the energy flow, which is going through this giant diamond, and shifts the diamond just slightly before disintegrating himself into ashes. And because the energy flow is no longer going through there at the correct angle, a few seconds later, it shatters just in time for the countdown from Emil to the supernova. And 5 seconds before the supernova, all of a sudden the purple shield goes down, and they're like, well, fuck, we're screwed now.
Oh, shit.
And we cut to after the fact, where it's like, death came to them in many different ways. For Robert Alistes, it was a release from a body no longer his own. So yeah, that really does sound like he didn't have much control at all.
Just going to point out, who the fuck is Robert? We got Jammer and we had Ronald.
Ronald, you're right. Yep, that's not right. Or maybe Robert is his dad. Robert's like, oh, good, now my body's my own again.
Yeah, maybe.
No, they're talking about death, so I don't think that's right. But
that's meant to be Ronald or Jammer.
And then down the generations, you're called Ronald.
Yeah.
Apologies to any viewers out there. I have many Ronalds in my own family.
This is my first son, Starbreaker, and then this is my second son, Bob.
Have you guys watched Werewolf by Night yet?
No, not yet. No spoilers.
Okay.
There is I don't know if you know much about Canadian comedy music groups, but there's one that I love called The Arrogant Worms, and they've got a song called Jesus' Brother Bob. It's all about Jesus' younger brother who is just resentful because like no one gives a shit about him.
Poor Bob.
It's the best thing ever.
Now I may have to go look for this. That does sound fun. I don't know anything about Canadian comedy groups really, so
yeah, it's kind of a broad. That's a very niche thing. I found them by accident like decades ago, and I've been listening to them ever since.
Okay, sorry. We're Morant does not welcome the death, but he's prepared for it. His wife's gone. His children are grown up. Emil was hit the hardest. In the moments before he was vaporized, he had to face his inadequacy and his failure. And then the next day on the news, it's just like, yeah, so all those people are dead. The Shield failed. The remaining members of the Shorten family have entered a 3,000-year work bond to pay the huge debts incurred by the failed project. Ouch. Sucks for all of them.
Now, to be fair to Emil, he didn't fail for any reason of his own.
Yeah, he doesn't know that, though.
Yeah, I guess.
No one told him that there was a guy running through the station trying to get to the Shield generator.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. So that is that's that story. It's an interesting one for me, and we talked about it at the beginning how it's just like, yeah, he tells you up front that it's not going to be very good, so it does kind of bias you about it, and it's interesting to see something from so early, and you can pick out some of the stuff that you see from Brandon later, even with the names. When we talked about how he gets to Elantris and goes a little overboard on the fantasy names, you're like, oh, I see that still, since this is clearly before that.
Yeah, and just sort of the way like he'll drip feed bits of information when he feels like it's necessary for the audience to know it. It may not have been in the most cohesive or fun to read manner here, but you can see the bones of it there. And like he's got some great concepts in this story, so you can definitely see like the bones of where he started to come together. So for a starting point, this is fine.
Yeah, it's probably better than anything I've written. So good job winning that contest.
Who am I to judge someone?
Yeah.
I am a terrible writer.
It's true. But that's what we're doing on this podcast. We're judging him. Take that, Brandon. That'll teach you to write. Okay, sorry. So
we might be, but we're generally pretty positive about it.
It's true.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not like overcritical or anything. I don't have enough of a background in literature to be like, yes, I can sit here and go, this is what I would have done better. But I can tell if I like something or I dislike something, and if I like it, then it's good.
Yeah, I mean that's fair, right? That's kind of what all you can ask from most people is like, did you like it? Why did you like it? Or why didn't you like it? It's an opinion thing.
Yeah.
I think I've read some like it was something like when I was doing all my film stuff in uni, there was a quote I came across. Someone said like, I judge like the things I consider great to be the ones that a great movie is one I could never bear the thought of not seeing again. Because like there have been many times where I've sat down, I've watched a movie and just gone, that was a really good movie. Do I want to watch it again?
Mm-hmm.
So
there, yeah. I mean, and that's my thing is that I don't know that I agree with that, because I'm absolutely sure that there's movies that I'm like, that's like it's a really well made movie. They did an amazing job on this. I don't necessarily need to see that again.
Well, so that's how I feel. There have been plenty of movies I go and just like on a filmmaking level and everything about this is fantastic, but I just don't care about the story. It's just not my kind of thing. So I probably wouldn't watch it again, but I can appreciate the skill with which they made it. So
yeah.
Where do you draw the line? Whereas there are some movies that like I genuinely enjoy watching them, but they're fucking terrible.
That's absolutely true. Yeah, I can name a lot of those.
Yeah.
But I was thinking more along the lines of there's stuff where like if there's a mystery or something and the first time you watch it, it's amazing because when the twist hits or something, you're not expecting it. And it's like, oh my gosh, my mind is blown. This was really well done. But then you don't necessarily need to watch that again because maybe, and I guess actually a good example is Shawshank Redemption, which is not a mystery, but it is a movie that you watch once and then the stuff hits at the end. And then a second watch is an entirely different experience.
You think it's a bad experience though, or
no? Well, and that's what I was gonna say is the second watch is a whole different experience because you're spotting all these things that based on what you know now. But I don't know that I need to watch Shawshank more than twice.
Look, fair. I guess for that specific case, I probably wouldn't agree. But I see your point. There are definitely some. It's like you watch it for first time for the fresh experience, once for the catching everything experience, and then not necessarily again. I get that. Yeah, no, I don't know where I was going with that.
The funny thing is, you could say the same about a lot of Brandon's books. In the like you get to the end of Well of Ascension and there's the twist where it's been lying to you all along, and it's like, oh my gosh, and then you can read it a second time and you start spotting all the little things and you're like, oh, it's crazy. And so you could say the same thing about that I just said about Shawshank, except that I've read that book like 10 times. So
yeah, and that's it. I guess it comes down to like you could say that of virtually any work of fiction that has sort of a twist or not even a twist, but like some big reveal happening at the end. Mm-hmm. Like like virtually anything Agatha Christie ever wrote, or hell, Knives Out. Like I know pretty much beat for beat everything that happens in that movie, but I will happily watch that a million times.
Yeah, me too. Knives Out was really good.
Brilliant.
So yeah, and that I guess is the personal preference part, where it's like,
yeah.
I love Brandon's books, and so even though I know what happens, I will read that one again. There's a lot about Shawshank that I find like I don't need to watch the prison rape stuff.
Yep.
I don't particularly like that, and so I'm not eager to necessarily watch that movie all the time. But,
that's fair.
Yeah. So and maybe you could even say the same about like Schindler's List, where like this is an amazing piece of filmmaking.
Oh god, you got to be in the mood for that.
Yeah, and the story is like, it's so it really can get you. And I'm like, I have to be at a certain like level of emotional fortitude if I'm going to watch that movie again. I don't. It's tough.
I think the top of my list for that would be 2001: A Space Odyssey, one of the best movies ever made. But if I am not anywhere close to the right mood for watching it, I'm just like, I am not touching it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you need to be in a very specific headspace for that one.
I actually have never seen that one.
You need to be in a very specific headspace for that one.
I read the book. But... Sorry, Jamie, I cut you off. What were you saying?
No, that's okay. I just found like the one that sticks with me as a great movie, but I will never watch again, was The Lovely Bones. I think it's a little bit too real. It's a little bit too could happen, and it's uncomfortable, but it was very well done.
Yeah, there's some of those where you're like, this is horrifying in a way that's like, it could actually happen, and I don't need to remind myself that it could actually happen. That's not going to help my life.
Oh, yeah, like, I had one of those years ago. It's a movie directed by David Schwimmer, of all people, a movie called Trust. Oh, very well made, but yeah, that was... Google it. I struggle to even talk about it, honestly.
Okay. It's funny that you mentioned Agatha Christie books, because I had never read an Agatha Christie book, and then I went and saw, or I was going to go see How They Run, that movie that just came out a couple weeks ago.
Oh, I want to see that. Yeah, that looks good.
And it was fun. I enjoyed it. It's not like great or anything, but it's a lot of fun. And so I was in just like this mental space because I was going to go see this movie. I'm like, you know what? Let's try an Agatha Christie book. I've never done that. And so I went out and got her first one. A Mysterious Affair at Styles, I think it's the first one. And it's also the first appearance of Poirot. And so I read that and I was like, you know what? That's not bad. I mean, it's not like at the top of my list or anything, but it's not bad at all. And so since then, I have gone down a rabbit hole. Like that was maybe 2 weeks ago that I did that, maybe like 2 weeks and 2 days. And I have read 7 of her books since then.
Brilliant.
So yeah, I've read a bunch of Poirot and several Miss Marples. I'm in the middle of a Miss Marple one right now called, I think it's A Murder is Announced, where the book begins with like an ad appearing in a paper that's like, a murder is going to happen tonight at this place at this time. Consider this is the only invitation. Friends, please accept. And everyone's like, oh, so it's like some sort of is it some sort of game at our friend's house? Oh, let's all show up for this. And then obviously a murder actually happens. And so it's kind of bizarre, but I've just started it. So.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I remember reading somewhere, it's like, people who always write or make movies or whatever in like the same genre over and over and over again. Some people are just like, they get criticized and say, oh, try something new. And then someone rebutted by saying, it's like, no one ever got bored of that Agatha Christie just kept making murder mysteries.
I'm sure somebody has complained,
and no one cares.
And no one cares. Yeah, but that's the thing is like when you do a really good job at it, it's like
just keep it coming.
Keep doing that. If I'm not interested in a murder mystery, I will go read something else. There's no reason that you need to try to do something different than what you are good at doing.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah. So
just stick those murder mysteries on a conveyor belt and just send them at my face.
Well, and that's the weird thing is I've never been that big into mysteries necessarily. Like I like the Dresden Files, and that's probably like some of those are like detective fiction, but that's probably the most detective fiction that I have read. That's not usually my genre, but I was just in the mood for it, and so I've done a bunch of them, and it's been fun.
When I was a kid, my parents loved watching Midsummer Murders on TV, and every so often I would just come and sit down and catch an episode with them. And it's like, that was a lot of fun. It was very clever, even though Like, I don't know how many people must have died in the English countryside by the end of that show. Is it? Unless it's still going, in which case, like, the whole population of Europe must be dead by now.
Midsummer Murder. I remember that. I've never actually watched an episode of that, but I remember it because it would be on, like, I think PBS here at night. And if I was flipping through channels, I would catch, like, a few minutes of it and then be like, weird British stuff. I'm going to move on.
No, it's actually very worthwhile. And, like, because it started way back in, like, late 90s, early 2000s, stuff like that, you see, like, some British actors who have actually hit it really big now. And, like, it's like, oh my God, that's a very young Orlando Bloom or something.
I'm rewatching Night Court because I apparently just need a sitcom that I can have on and let play for half hours at a time while I'm doing other stuff. And I look over yesterday. Well, I was, like, playing a video game and I just have this playing on my phone, and it is a very young Don Cheadle as, like, a 16-year-old like guy who's, like, sticking this crew up for he's just robbed a liquor store or something. I was like, oh my God, Don Cheadle, what are you doing? Yeah. Okay, how long is this? This show is still going.
Bloody hell.
It started in 1997, this says, and the most recent series was 22 and was started April 2021, and the rest is TBA, so they may have, it shows that there's going to be a 23rd, but there's no information about it, so it may have, COVID got delayed or something. Yeah.
Huh. The show I always thought just went, I felt like it went for ages and ages and ages, and I don't know if it really did or not, but Murder, She Wrote, and I always remember thinking, I never want to be around Jessica Fletcher because everyone... Like, it's not like she's investigating a crime. It's always wherever she is, someone dies. And it's like, really? You are the problem, I think.
It's just the weirdness magnet.
That show had 12 seasons, apparently, and 4 movies. So, yeah, that's a pretty good run.
I liked to see what she was up to. But, yeah, it was, yeah. I was like, if you go on a holiday or you go on a writing conference and someone's murdered in the room next door, I'm like, how unlucky do you have to be?
That's true of a lot of those stories, and I feel like it's like I guess it's kind of like Miss Marple, actually, where it's just like it's this little, when you have a little old lady who's solving crimes, she's not at the police station waiting for the newest thing to come in. It's just it has to be wherever she happens to be, which is like, oh, that's scary, actually.
Yep.
Now just looking it up, it's like, what famous actors have appeared in Midsummer Murders before they were famous? Henry Cavill. Holy shit, yeah, he's young. Orlando Bloom. Willie Mortimer. Oh, Hugh Bonneville, the dude from Downton Abbey. Olivia Colman.
Jesus. Oh, well, she's, yeah. I was just watching, what was I watching? I was watching Sandman.
Oh, they're in that. Yeah, Peter Capaldi. Yeah, like some huge names.
It's probably like a Harry Potter thing where it's like, if you're an actor in Britain, then you're gonna have been recruited to be on this show at some point.
Yeah, basically. If it's not Harry Potter, then you end up in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, exactly. Or both,
Yep.
I'm watching so many random things now. Like, you got me thinking, because we're talking about British TV now, you got me thinking about the Great British Bake Off or Baking Show that just started their new season a couple weeks ago.
Nice.
And so, been watching that. That's good stuff. And then the boys were in a Bluey kick today, so we watched a bunch of Bluey.
Oh, it's just the best.
Right? Great show.
Yep.
All right, here, we got so far off track here. So, we've got, for anyone who's left a review or become a patron, I'm aware of you, but we're waiting for Joe to be back, hopefully next week, to touch on those. So just be patient a little bit longer. We got a couple emails that we've been holding for a while because they're about the end of the Miss Morton book, but there's one that we can get away with doing here. And this was after we got the picture of that dog, which actually was an Australian Shepherd, like Bluey. Now, just to bring that full circle. But Joe or someone was like, send us your pictures of dogs. Why not? So one other person, Naomi, sent us a picture of her dog. And so let me put the picture in the chat first so everyone can see the puppy. And Naomi says, hey, Sandra. I know, right? Data, you've really opened Pandora's box with these puppy pics. I'm not sure if a lot of people will send pictures, but I will. This is my dog, Coco. 4 years. It says 4 years ago. I assume that means 4 years old. She's an American Staffy mixed with Inhale, a Louisiana Catahoula leopard dog. That is a long name.
You just said a whole bunch of sounds.
Right. She's a sweetheart who loves dogs and people. And I'd love to go on walks with her while listening to the podcast, but she's very anxious. I swear she thinks there's some magical barrier she can't pass 50 feet from my house. She'll dig her heels in and I basically get dragged back into the house.
Hey.
That's funny, actually. Wasing to the time of next. Colo. Thank you, Naomi. We have 3 cats, and they are... 2 of them have always been that way. Like, 2 of them were rescues, and as soon as they moved into the house, like, they will not cross the threshold out one of the doors. They're like, no, why would I go out there? Inside here is great. And then we have the purebred cat that we got that has been pampered and, like, loved all his life because we got him from, you know, a breeder, and he costs a lot of money and all this stuff. And he was always like, hey, what's out there? I want to go out there. And so I had to stop him constantly until one day he bolts out the door, and I take off running after him because I'm afraid this, like, $700 cat is going to disappear into the neighborhood and we'll never see him again because he doesn't know how to survive on his own. But he got out onto the porch and he stopped, and I was not expecting that. And I was in mid-run to go after him, and so I accidentally kicked him.
Oh, no!
Like, not hard enough to hurt him, but way harder. Like, I felt so horrible after. And he looked at me. He's so betrayed. And since then, he is scared to go out the door because he now associates it with getting kicked.
Oh, Jesus. I guess 2 wrongs made a right.
Right? I'm like, I feel bad, but he wasn't hurt, and now he doesn't try to go out the door constantly, so it's kind of a good thing in the long run.
Oh, God.
But yeah. Is y'all's cat an outside cat?
No.
No. She used to be, but she would always get hurt. And the last time when we drew the floor, so our cat will be 20 this December.
Oh, wow, yeah.
She's like proper old, and it was probably a decade ago. She was chasing cows in the paddock next to my house, and then jumped. Yes, she was chasing cows. Big wild cat she was. And she leapt over the fence and got her leg caught on the barbed wire and ripped open her leg. So we were like, it's too expensive. Every time you go outside, you're hurting yourself. So she's been inside ever since.
Yeah, that's probably for the best, it sounds like.
Yeah. Also, sorry, I had to deal with a baby thing. That dog is beautiful.
It's a very cute dog.
Yes, and please keep sending you photos of your pets.
Jamie's like, I'm happy to see them.
Yes.
So if anyone would like to send us an email, including if you want photos of pets, that's cool. The address is thesanderlanch@gmail.com. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook and Patreon. I have gotten 6 chapters up of Bastille versus the Evil Librarians that I'm reacting to as I'm reading and recording it. So I did the first 7 chapters with 1 chapter per file, and chapter 7 was so short that I was like, okay, I got to do more. So after that I did 3 chapters per, and they got a lot. They didn't get a lot longer, honestly. I think the chapters started getting smaller as you got to the end of the book, which is kind of a Brandon thing. So
yeah,
it makes sense. But I feel like it progresses much, much faster after chapter 7. So that'll go up. The first episode with 3 chapters will probably go up the Thursday before this comes out. So if you're interested in hearing me react to these books as they come out before they fit into the Sanderlanch schedule, then become a patron at any level and you can get that. We're not I'm not you can go in and pledge. I forget what the smallest pledge amount is. I was going to make it $1, and then Patreon's like, you really shouldn't do that. It should be at least like 3 or 5, or I forget what the number is. So I was like, okay, well, I guess they know what they're talking about. I'll make the minimum what they say the minimum should generally be. But yeah, it's not like we're doing that. We're doing it to try to get stuff out of people. It's just people are like, hey, how do we support the show? I said at the Patreon, and if we were going to have a Patreon, it needed special content. So that's the special content. We also have the Possum Hunters show that got recorded. Dak and Joe playing a couple roles each, and it's really fun. I have not finished editing that yet because I've been so distracted with recording. Every time that I have to sit down in front of my computer and record or work on something, it's been either one of these episodes of the Sanderlanch that's going to come out, or it's been me working on trying to finish that one book that I was reading. So hopefully I will be able to get to that soon, and we will have Possum Hunters out on the Patreon also. I'm calling the Patreon show before the Sanderlanch, since it's me reading these books before they would get to the Sanderlanch. That seemed like a good name. Although if anyone has better name suggestions, I'm open to it. Music by Miracle of Sound. Thank you, everybody. Next time, the plan is that we will be back to Mistborn for chapters. Let me go back and look at what chapters we're doing again, because it's been a while since I read those out. Chapters 24, 25, 26, and 27. So 4 chapters for that next episode.
For anyone who's read those chapters and knows where Data cut the next ones off, you will understand how difficult these last 3 or 4 weeks have been.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to get back into these because we need to talk.
I totally forgot. And it's funny.
No, you didn't.
No, because I forgot when we moved into this where I had left that, but I was talking to somebody on the Discord, and they were asking like how well in advance these are planned out. And I said I have them all, like what chapters for each episode planned out well in advance, but sometimes when we get into the book that can change. Like when we read Elantris, I think I cut like 2 or 3 episodes off of what it was going to be by rearranging the chapters as we were getting deeper into the book. And
I vaguely remember that, yeah.
I almost did the same thing here, because after we read these 4 chapters, the next section is 2 chapters, and it's actually a pretty short section. So I could have split that and put 1 chapter with those 4 and 1 chapter in the next episode. But the end of chapter 27 was just a perfect stopping point. I was like, I can't not have a stop there.
Correct. I understand why you did it, but we now had to wait a month. But, it's happened.
Oh, yep. The timing on that just worked out so well. That's great. Yeah, okay. And in my mind, it's when the episode comes out that we've read that. So it didn't even occur to me that you guys read that, and then we're now waiting this whole time to be able to read on. That's hilarious, actually.
Normally, I would normally be waiting until like the day or 2 before to read it. Sometimes even the day of. But I was like, I need to know what happens here. I can't wait another month. And now we've read it, and I'm like, I can't wait another month.
Oh, yes, it's so mean to stop when, like, we basically, I think we kind of had started the Sanderlands with that last episode or so. And so it was a mean time to cut it. But what can you do? Babies come when babies come, right?
Yep, been there.
So yes, 4 chapters for the next episode, and then Damien Jack. I always do that, and I don't know why. Jamie and Dak will finally be able to read on. So thank you, everybody, for sticking with us. I hope you've enjoyed the little side trip we took with the Baby Break. And Joe is having a lot of fun. I've visited a couple times. I don't want to, be in there too much while they're trying to do baby stuff, but I've gotten some pictures, and he sent some pictures. Very cute little baby. And I think that, their first kid, they're having a whole fun, interesting experience. And maybe you'll hear a little bit about it when Joe makes it back. I'm going to text him after we're done here and be like, so are you coming back for next week, or
maybe for the Patreon or something, like he can read the 3 stories we did just quickly and just record his thoughts.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, I like that.
Just like that, then we're all on the same level.
Have to call that like after the Sanderlands with Joe.
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, we will see you guys next week for Back to Mistborn, Wasing to the Time of Next. Colo?